I rent houses and then I rent rooms out to people that are on the streets. I don't get funding from the government. We don't fit government funding. They still believe that round pegs fit in round holes. They just sent me a letter saying that in a 30-day closure date, sent me a letter and told me that they were going to fine me. It was about $25,000. They have the power to just grant us community housing. They want us to be registered housing. We don't want to be. We want to be community housing. Yeah. And they don't want us to be community housing because we don't fit their little mould of what they think community housing is.
Since we last spoke with Helen Youngbury in August, Goodna Street Life spokesperson Karen Thorne says there have been some positive developments in their dealings with the Queensland Department of Housing and Public Works.
We've had some good engagement recently with the Department of Housing and Public Works. They've recently come out and visited our property at 72 Alice Street. They were actually rather impressed with it. They said that they couldn't see any reason why, once we had done the rest of the compliance information through Ipswich City Council and then having the building certifier come out, that they could see no reason at all why we wouldn't get accredited. So we were very excited about that. It's been a huge uphill battle. All we wanted them was to come out and see the property. And now they have. And things seem to have settled down a little bit, which is great. The injunction that they spoke about just recently, we haven't heard any more about that. And the reason why, I think, is because they've come out and they've seen the property and they can see that everything's great.
While the relationship between the state government and Goodna Street Life hasn't been ideal, Karen explains it has been quite a learning process.
I think the challenges have been that the process that you have to go through in order to get accredited. It's very political and very bureaucratic. Not one department doesn't know what the other department's doing. It really makes it difficult. So we've worked through this now, and what we found was the more pressure that we put on the minister, and the more pressure that we put on the department, the more that they pushed back. In the media, they seem to be supporting us, but behind the scenes, they would contact us and they'd tell us that they were going to put an injunction out on us. We've now brought that all to a head. There was a recent interview that was done, and the minister came on and basically said that what we were doing was a crime. So a crime because we were helping people. I'm not quite sure where the minister gets that from, but maybe the minister needs to look at what his constituents and what his portfolio should be looking after rather than paperwork and bureaucratic process. But as I said, there hasn't been any further talk about the injunction now, which has been great. We are continuing to work through the process, and we've always been happy to work through that process. It's really important for us to make sure that both our residents and Goodna Street Life comply. But all we were asking for was a little bit of a helping hand, because that's what Goodna Street Life's all about. It's about helping people.
Helen Youngbury has been nominated as a local hero for the Pride of Australia Awards later this year, an initiative of News Corp Australia, supported by Australia Post and Channel 7.
Helen Youngbury is probably the most, is the person that doesn't want to be in the limelight. She's the person that wants to just quietly work in the background and make things happen. Well, you know what? Helen deserves this nomination for Local Hero for the Australian Day Awards. She has worked tirelessly for the community of Goodna, and she continues to work tirelessly. She puts in so much effort down here. She's here every single day. We're talking to her during the evening, and her passion is the community, and her passion is is about helping people. We wouldn't be where we are today without Helen Youngbury, and if Helen Youngbury doesn't win the Local Hero Award, then we're going to just nominate her again next year because she really deserves it.
Stephen Purcell is Vice President of Goodna Street Life and usually can be found working behind the scenes.
Look, Stephen Purcell is my partner, for those that don't know. He works tirelessly alongside Helen, and Stephen is probably the person that loves to get his head buried into the paperwork. And without Stephen here, the whole process with the Department of Housing would have been much more difficult. Going through the process of 1B classification, MP 2.1, you name it, there's just lots of information that goes on, and Stephen works tirelessly with regards to that. Stephen runs a small business with me, but we've made the decision that we would push back on on his operation in the business, so therefore he could spend a lot more time down at Goodna Street Life, and Helen and him have grown together. I call them a dynamic duo. Stephen calls Helen and I the crazy ones because we're always doing those crazy videos, but at the end of the day, it makes us the team that we are. And without Stephen, tapping along on his computer to make sure that we are compliant and doing all that stuff, it would probably be a much harder struggle for us.
Private sector funding and support is important to Goodna Street Life to keep their Tidy Homes project vision on track.
We're always willing to accept donations. We don't generally say no to any donation because at the end of the day, one man's rubbish, so to speak, is another man's treasure. We don't view anything as unsellable or with regards to that, we can hand back to the community, and that's basically what we do. If corporate donations want to come through, then we will be happy to accept them. We've got a website plus a link for donations, and we're also, down the track, we're also looking at building our tiny homes project. So that's really where our corporate donors are going to come into play, because we'll be putting together a platform and a program where corporate donors might be able to actually buy one of our tiny homes, and then that way we can help market that for them, but it becomes part of our tiny home project as well.